Hello world, it is Monday, December 13th, 2020, and it's a beautiful sunny day out this morning and cool. It was in the mid-30s when I woke up and went running this morning, but looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. The devotion for today is entitled Jesus in the Closet, written by Jennifer Brownell. Jennifer bases the devotion upon Isaiah chapter 6, verse 3, New Revised Standard Version. And one called to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of God's glory. And Jennifer writes, Mommy, my son's voice wavered urgently in my ear. Mommy, there's a monster under my bed, and Jesus is in my closet. I meant well when I talked to my 3-year-old about Jesus always being near. But like many of my good intentions in those early days of parenting, our little pre-bedtime chat, did not have quite the effect I had hoped it would. Now, instead of a friend to guide and comfort him, my son had a nightmare in his closet. He got rid of the monsters with a broom, sweeping them out from under the bed and then out the door, my little one shouting in his high, sweet voice, get out, and don't come back. What to do with Jesus in the closet was trickier. After all, unlike the monsters under the bed, Jesus is not just in the closet, but out of the closet too. Jesus was everywhere. Eventually, as my son grew up a bit, this stopped being such a scary idea. If the whole earth is full of God's glory, then there's no sweeping God out the door. If the whole earth is full of God's glory, then sometimes God's presence can be scary or frustrating or at least inconvenient. If the whole earth is full of God's glory, however, then God is available to help us through those scary or frustrating or inconvenient times. If the whole earth is full of God's glory, then maybe eventually we will grow up enough that the scary things will stop seeming so scary. And on that wonderful day, we will shout to one another in high, sweet voices, Holy, holy, holy. And Jennifer's prayer. Holy, holy, holy God, we rejoice that the whole world is full of your glory. Help us to know your overarching presence as a gift in the scary times as well as the joyful ones. Amen. This devotion brings up a couple of things for me. One is that children do tend to be very literal when they're younger. And so if you tell them Jesus is everywhere, they might take that in a literal way that is a little frightening to them, as Jennifer's son did. And the other thing it brings to me is, if the whole earth is full of God's glory, and the whole earth is full of God's glory, but sometimes we just have to look for it. Sometimes when we don't feel God's presence, I don't know if it's because we've turned away or just unable to feel or sense that God is there. Because during difficult times that can feel like that. And that is perfectly normal. But on the other hand, when things aren't really tough, because it's tough to look for God, to look for good things. Sometimes you need someone else to help you do that. And sometimes it is just another person being there with you to be an anchor and to keep you grounded. But I think when things are not so tough, being purposeful about looking for God's presence. For me, especially being outside in nature and just being in awe and in wonder at creation and the world, really noticing things around you, living things around you, just noticing life, noticing even your own breathing. It can be incredible. Anyway, that's what I kind of got out of it. And I hope you can get something out of this too. And I hope, again, to talk to you tomorrow.